The Wednesday Night Wars are finally over, and it end on a surprising note in some respects and a promising note in others. Plus, there may be another old show returning to television in the wrestling weekly television spots. It's getting kind of crowded there. What's going on, you sexy bitches? Welcome back to the Rantin review. This is my review of the final night of the wrestling's second coming, or third coming actually, of a ratings war, which again, nothing's going to ever beat the Monday Night War in my lifetime. The Wednesday Night War could have come close, but because of COVID and because of, well, basically just a lot of other reasons, the war never really went anywhere. There was in the beginning some excitement that there was going to be a lot of trash talking and going back and forth and people going from one side to the other, which would have been exciting if you had crowds and you didn't have all these shows taking place in studios and yada yada yada. But for what it was, for the almost year and a half or whatever we had the Wednesday Night Wars, it was okay. It was fun. It wasn't really a competitive thing, but we finally concluded it this past week. It is now officially over. NXT, as we talked about months ago, is going to be moving to Tuesday nights because of NBC Universal putting NASCAR and hockey on the USA Network on Wednesdays. So Wednesday Night War is done. Good for both shows. One thing I did want to talk about first is let's talk about the NXT TakeOver shows. Now, the TakeOver shows, again, the production quality is awesome. This is WrestleMania week, not even WrestleMania weekend anymore. Now it's a whole week. It's just taking over everything, literally and figuratively speaking, pun intended. But we had some solid main events. I really consider it 3 main events over the 2 nights. And the difference I'm going to say right now between the 2 shows is that the NXT show, TakeOvers, are very solid on wrestling, which is so funny to say for a WWE product, but it is NXT, known for their great wrestling matches and known for the great production quality, whereas AEW was focused on a lot of good storyline and character building stuff and not so much on having great match after great match after great match. So that's where I really saw the divide being. Of course, since it's a takeovers typically are when NXT wins the Wednesday Night Wars, and this was no different. The final Wednesday Night War, the final shot, NXT goes out with a bang and wins the last night of the Wednesday Night Wars. And again, like I said before, a couple years from now, that might be ironic or might be foretelling the future, or it could just be an anomaly. We will only know come 2025 or whenever that is. So let's go to the TakeOver show. The first night on the 7th, we had Kushida and Pete Dunne, a match that it lived up to my expectations. I expected a little bit more out of it, but again, you had that hard-hitting style. Kushida, so weird seeing him in jeans still, They made a good showing. This was a good opening match, and I definitely enjoyed it. Pete Dunne did get the win, however, over Kushida, who I'm kind of wondering what they're doing with Kushida right now. Pete Dunne really didn't need that win. I think Kushida might have needed it more than Pete Dunne, because he's well established now in the NXT UK universe. Whereas Kushida, and they even talk about it on NXT programming, it's like, has he found himself? He hasn't found himself. He's found himself. Wait, now he hasn't found himself yet. So I don't know. Hopefully Kushida does well. Of course, I would love for him to go back to New Japan, but I know he wants to be in the U.S. market, and I'm just hoping that he does well in NXT in the future. Bronson Reed won this huge gauntlet match that actually was more entertaining than I thought it would be, not being quite familiar with all of these guys, because I haven't been watching as much NXT as I would like to have been. And again, another benefit of the Wednesday Night War being over, Tuesdays are going to be entirely devoted to me being able to watch NXT. But Bronson Reed won this match. I did think well, no, I didn't. LA Knight, I should say, use his WWE name. LA Knight, I did slate for winning this match because it seemed to be primed for him to do this and then go on and face Johnny Gargano on the next night, which would have been an amazing match that I was looking forward to. But because they had Bronson Reed win this, it did give me an opportunity to see a star that I don't watch much of, so I appreciated that. Oh my God, then one of my favorite matches of this whole 2-day thing, Tommaso Ciampa taking on Walter for the NXT UK Championship. Just go watch this match. It was pound flesh getting smacked, people getting their bones crushed, the things falling, people crying, ouch, 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 all over the place. Ciampa went after Walter's hand to take away that big ass chop of his, but didn't quite work out. Tommaso Ciampa just outmatched, giving up about 100 pounds to the giant Walter. Walter continues his historic reign as WWE UK champion, and they even mentioned he has had the longest reign of any champion in WWE since when it was the WWF, before Ruthless Aggression, before Attitude Era, before New Generation Era, going back to Rockin' Wrestling Era champions. That is how long it's been since we've had a world or any champion in WWE last over 2 years. An amazing thing. I do think now I kind of see what it is, that Walter might remind Vince of Bruno a little bit, and Triple H, so that might be why they're giving him this Bruno Sammartino kind of championship run, which I am all for. I love long-term champions, and you know, Okada had a great championship run over in New Japan that lasted almost 2 years, or over 2 years, or almost 2 years. And I think Walter having an over 2 year run and the competitive NXT UK division is just fantastic. MSK won the tag team championships. This was probably my least favorite match of the night. It seemed like a lot of stuff that people complained about on Dynamite, about, you know, just high spots. These guys are all very young, except for grizzled young veterans. But I mean, it served its purpose, and the new team winning, I have no complaints about it. I don't have many thoughts about this match. I don't know much about many of these guys, so we're just going to kind of move on from this. Then we are into the main event. Io Shirai defending the NXT Women's Championship against the Brutes, Raquel Gonzalez. That woman is a beast, and she went beast mode on Io Shirai, who tried her best to kind of counteract this big, muscular, huge, humongous woman that was beating the living snot out of her this entire match, most of this match. Io Shirai did one crazy dive off the top of the skull they had in the entranceway, which is about 15 or 20 feet up in the air, and it looked like it was a sick landing on the metal steel gratings down at the bottom. I did predict, however, that Raquel will win this match and become the new NXT champion, because I think it is time for Io Shirai to go up to the main roster. Seems to be that's what's going to happen. So congratulations to Io Shirai for having one of the greatest runs in, I should say one of the greatest runs, but for maintaining the quality of NXT women's division. And hopefully Raquel Gonzalez carries that tradition on. I do see some things that I like from her, some things that I don't, but it's going to be her challengers that are going to push her to the next level. And if you got Dakota Kai and a bunch of other people there, so I'm sure she'll be fine, and the championship will be in great hands. On to the second night, Jordan Devlin and Santos Escobar competing to decide who is going to be the legitimate NXT junior, is it NXT Cruiserweight Champion? The Cruiserweight Champion, who knows anymore. But that was a theme of a lot of these matches. It's who is the legitimate champion. That was kind of the theme of Stand and Deliver. You had it with the tag team match. You had it with this match. You also have it with the NXT Championship match later on in the night. This was a good match. I didn't have too much about it. It's a ladder match, so the traditional ladder tropes, but Escobar wound up winning at the end of the day and becoming the undisputed NXT champion. I will note one thing about the NXT broadcasters, which I don't mind Wade Barrett and Beth Phoenix and so on and so forth, but the one thing I have noticed is that everything is a first. They will have somebody finding statistics about anything to say this is the first time that this has ever happened. Of course, one of them was from the Fabulous Freebirds, because, you know, Michael Hayes always has to inject the Freebirds anywhere he can into WWE. He's been doing this for decades now. But, you know, the Freebirds were this is only the first team since the Freebirds to win 2 vacated tag team championships. Like, is that really a stat that's worth anything? This is the first time somebody has been in a championship match at the Capitol Center after they took 20 steps to the ring and then hopped over the top rope. It's the first time that's ever happened. On to other things, though. Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart, which is, I love their tag team. They are so fabulous. Took on The Way. And the Way moved out of the way and lost the time. I mean, I wasn't really big into this match. I love Ember Moon and Blackheart. They are just, there's something about their personality and the tank and all that stuff. I dig the presentation. It's one of those things that like I probably wouldn't dig if anybody else did it, but them doing it, I don't know, it just works for me for some reason. Mr. TakeOver, Johnny Gargano defended his championship against Bronson Reed, the aforementioned Bronson Reed, who won that gauntlet match the night before. Not one of Johnny Gargano's best matches, but he did prove again why he is Mr. TakeOver. And he did show why he's a ring general. He definitely lit this match. And they really put over the big man and the big man's strengths. Another David versus Goliath kind of match. And it worked for what it was. Gargano retaining the North American Championship as everybody pretty much expected. I do want to see the LA Knight Johnny Gargano match though. NXT, you got to get on that. And in a double main event, first one was Karrion Kross for the NXT Championship. Challenging, because he never lost it. Remember, he got injured last year, and he's challenging Finn Balor, who is looking as in great shape. These two guys went in there looking like freaking gladiators going at each other. Like, legitimately, this is one of the things that I love about NXT, and I wish was more on the main roster. It's like you can really feel that this is a competitive thing between these two guys, and I love that stuff. Great match all around. You even had Kross kicking out of a coup de grace. Not only did he kick out of the coup de grace, he rolled into his own submission out of the coup de grace. And then from that point on, he just brutalized the crap out of Balor for another minute and a half until he finally got his version of the hidden blade. And I forgot what he calls it, but he picks up the win there on Finn Balor and once again is the NXT champion, regaining his title after losing it to injury over a year ago. It was about a year ago, less than a year ago, whenever it was. Really solid match, one of the best ones you should see, and definitely, if you haven't seen this card, you definitely want to check that one out. In the other main event that we had, Adam Cole Bay tried to one-up his real-life Bay, Britt Baker, in an unsanctioned match. Can he do better than she did? Because her match got a lot of press, a lot of praise. So let's see if hubby can do it, or boyfriend can do it, whatever they are, can do it here against Kyle O'Reilly. Both of them with new music. And Adam Cole not knowing where his boom is, so he just kind of sat on the apron for a while waiting for it, and he's like, boom. I like the Undisputed Era song too. I understand why they're giving them their own theme songs now, but that kind of like weird porn music they had. Adam Cole is a baby. It's just weirdly satisfying theme song. Anyway. On to the actual match. There was no haha laughing jokes in this match. It was Cole and O'Reilly reigniting their feud from Ring of Honor, reigniting a rematch from a match that actually happened at a Wrestle Kingdom a few years ago. Strangely enough, back when I remember Adam Cole doing the Adam Cole Bebe thing over and over again at the Tokyo Dome in front of about 25,000 Japanese fans who did not give a crap about his Adam Cole Bebe thing. But here we are now, several years later. Adam Cole is a big star at NXT now, and the crowd is completely into him. They're completely into O'Reilly. And I will say, this is one of the, out of all the matches I've seen them have in Ring of Honor and New Japan and so on and so forth, this NXT match is probably it's probably up there in the top two. I would say it's 1A, 1B with one of the best matches. I could probably say it's the best match that they've had in their entire series, no matter where they've been. The lights out stipulation added a lot to it. However, there is a downside to that. Because AEW has been doing so much crazy stuff on Wednesday nights with these matches and Britt Baker and Kenny, even the exploding ring stuff that went completely crazy and botched all to hell. When WWE does these things because of their, they want to stay PG and family friendly, they're not going to do blood and guts. Blood and guts. Yeah. They're not going to do any of that stuff. So, they're kind of limited into being able to go how far they can go. They can present a lot of tables and chairs and buckets and stuff. And there was one point where Adam Cole pulled out a box, a toolbox, and people started going, oh, and then he unloaded it, and instead of the reaction of whatever he dumped out of the box being, oh, it was kind of like, oh. He tried to go after O'Reilly with pliers and then dropped it, and then they teased that they were going to do some hardcore stuff, but we knew they weren't going to do it, and then they didn't do it, and we were like, then don't tease it then. That's the one problem I had with this match. As great as it was, they teased things that they weren't going to do, and we knew they weren't going to do, so just don't tease them. O'Reilly and Adam Cole don't need that stuff anyway to have a great match. They could have had a very brutal match with just all the other crazy stuff they were doing anyway. But the ending was pretty good. O'Reilly wrapping a chain that they pulled from out of nowhere, wrapped it around his knee. It had been hanging on the ring ropes for a good 1/4 of the match. Cole you can see how they were setting all this up though, because there was a little bit too much setup. But Cole winds up draping himself over top of an upturned chair with the prongs up, the legs up. O'Reilly hops off the rope, delivers a knee wrapped in the chain to the back of Adam Cole's head, and gets the pin. 1, 2, 3. Adam Cole they're selling an injury angle with him right now because of the neck injury. It's a great storyline. I love this Cole O'Reilly storyline since they started it. It's been a very good old school traditional kind of the second hand guy, or the right hand guy, I should say, not second hand, the right hand guy going up against the leader of the old faction and proving that he is as good, if not better, than the leader of that faction. So overall, both nights of Stand and Deliver stood and delivered. I can't recommend them enough. There are some matches you could probably skip, but overall, it's an NXT I say this every time. It's an NXT TakeOver. It's going to be great. You just know what it is. It's a takeover. It's good. Just watch it. Over on the other side of the wrestling world, and AEW on the last night of the Wednesday Night Wars, they tried to go and have Mike Tyson come out and have that be a big thing, although I don't think they really did a good job of promoting it, because I kind of forgot about it and that it was even a thing. And there wasn't much to it. They just brought him out just to kind of try to keep the ratings up and try not to lose, but there wasn't much they could do. Again, you can't... most of the AEW audience is into really solid wrestling, and we all know that NXT TakeOvers in particular have really solid wrestling, some of the best wrestling in the world throughout the year. So they're going to watch the TakeOver. Of course, we're going to switch back and forth. I switched back a few times to Dynamite during Wednesday night. And what stood out to me wasn't so much the matches, even though the main event was pretty damn good, and we'll talk about that, but even the action wasn't the point. It was some really great promos. QT Marshall has a great backstage promo. He talks about Cody wanting to be with vanilla midgets and all of this other stuff, and now he's got a real team. That one kid, the Olympic guy they got on the team, and his name escapes me all of a sudden. You're going to kill... Guys are going to yell at me in the comment section, but his name escapes me right now. I'm doing this without a script. But... he is going to be a big star. That kid's going to be an amazing star. He has got, I get real early Rocky Maivia vibes from that guy. So yeah, that QT Marshall, AEW's got a gold mine with that kid. They better sign him up to a contract. That guy's going to be money. One of the best ones of the night, though, was Lance Archer coming out to do his confrontation against Sting again. And when he gets into Sting's face, he starts like, hey, no, it's my time. It's my time. I should be in the main event. And I'm in the main event and I disappeared. I'm in the main event and I disappeared. It's not going to be any more disappearing. And he's getting all into his face. And Jake Roberts is egging on Sting because they're trying to goad him. Of course, those of you who are old school fans remember in 92, Jake and Sting had a huge feud. The only feud Jake had in WCW at the time. Because Jake was in and then he was out once the feud was over. But they were trying to intimidate the Stinger. And Sting's like, you know what? And this is great. This is classic Sting. This was like right pre-Crow WCW Sting, when I think is an underrated era in his career, where he was kind of acting like the voice of reason because Hogan and Savage and Luger were all losing their minds, but Sting was the voice of reason, and he's the voice of reason here for Lance Archer. And he's like, yes, I agree. You should be a big star. You should be a main event. And then he threw it back to Jake, which was great. He's like, Jake, why don't you tell him how to do it, Jake? Jake, what are you doing? Tell him how to do it. Tell him how to do it. He was like calling Jake Roberts out and saying, Jake, you're not doing your job. And then he walked off, and I was like, oh. That was really good. I really like that. I'm usually not big into the promo stuff, but that was really smart how he flipped it on him and then walked off and threw it back in Jake's face like, Jake, you're not doing your job. Archer's right. I wonder where this is going. I really do wonder where this is going. I don't know if is Archer going to be stolen away by Sting, or what's going to happen here. Now I'm far more interested in this feud now than I was 2 weeks ago. One that a lot of people are talking about is Jericho's promo of the night. Jericho just kept this whole AEW show was basically a promo lesson show. I mean, Jericho's promo with the Inner Circle, the first one he did was absolutely fantastic. It was fantastic except for one thing that he said. He wasn't good at chemistry, and then he asked other people if they were good at chemistry, and then he said, well, who is? Chemist? Outside of that piece of logic that didn't make any sense to me, because I'm just a smart ass like that, but the rest of that promo, how he went on calling my jerk friend and all the little names he gave and going through his history and how smart he was in wrestling and all of these things that he had done, and he just trashed every member of the Pinnacle, and like, Sean Spears has no potential. The only potential he has is when he called me when he got dropped from the Fed 10 years ago asking me for advice. And he cracked on everybody except that I don't think he cracked on Wardlow, but he cracked on Dash and Dex, and exactly what I'm having a problem with right now is FTR is a fantastic tag team and their money, but you really do have a hard time remembering their name. I always have a hard time remembering their names. I didn't agree with the Tully Blanchard one though, because Tully wasn't like the third string member. Tully was actually number 2 for a while. He was number 2 for a while. Arn was not number 2. If those of us who remember the original, the 86, 87, 85, 86, 87, 88 Horsemen, Arn was not number 2. Tully was number 2 because it was Rick and it was Tully. Arn was usually off in tag teams with Ole Anderson, and then him and Blanchard became a tag team, but I definitely would not say that Tully Blanchard was the just slightly above Paul Roma. That's an insult. He's slightly above Paul Roma, as I forgot who else he said. Some other horseman who should have been Sid Vicious maybe, who shouldn't have been a horseman. But no, Tully Blanchard, he's one of the OG horsemen, and he was pretty damn good. Again, anybody who doubts how great Tully Blanchard is, Starrcade 85, Magnum TA, Tully Blanchard, I Quit match in the steel cage for the U.S. Championship. You'll thank me later. But it was such a brilliant promo, and then it paid off later in the night when Jericho got caught up by the Pinnacle. They were going to beat the living crap out of him again. They had kind of kept the rest of the Inner Circle locked in their dressing room, and then out comes Iron Mike Tyson, who's just very awkward in these situations, but he's still Mike Tyson, and I don't care how old he is. He still could kick everybody's ass. He could be, like, it was kind of weird and intimidating. Like, for the first, again, AEW always got the knock for being like the vanilla midget thing, but you look at that ring. Who was in that ring? Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Mike Tyson standing next to Jake Hager. Like, who would ever want, I do not want Jake Hager and Mike Tyson, two guys who legitimately are two of the toughest dudes on the planet, to come wanting to fight me. Not happening. No. And it's like not like the Pinnacle's any scrubs either. That is a collection between the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle of really, really talented wrestlers. This is Nation of Domination, DX worthy kind of stuff. So hopefully AEW is going to, and I've seen a lot of people say they want to see them drag it out. Now, they did announce that they're going to do the Blood and Guts one in about a month. I would have liked for them to have kept it for, I think it was Double or Nothing that was coming up, or maybe even stretch it out and have the feud go on, which I think the feud will continue on after the Blood and Guts match, but I don't want them to do it and just get in and get out of it. I want this feud to kind of linger for a little bit, and I think they maybe they should have gone to have the individual matches, FTR versus Santana Ortiz, Hager versus Wardlow, MJF versus Jericho, and they should have had those matches and then have all of those matches in with some sort of chaos to build up to the Blood and Guts match a little bit later on. That's my personal choice. Again, I'm not booking the show, so I'm not going to say that that's what they should do, and they're making a mistake if they're not doing it. That's just what I personally would have done and would have liked to have seen, but I'll see how they perform this with the Blood and Guts matchup, and who knows, they're probably going to do something like that. They've got 4 weeks to the show, so we probably will see all those matches leading up to the show. I just think they should have done those matches and then have some real crazy thing happen and then announce that they're going to the Blood and Guts match. But that's a nitpick. Great segment, great promo, one of the highlights of the night. And of course, in the main event, you had the 6-man tag match. The Good Brothers and Kenny Omega against Jon Moxley and surprisingly the Young Bucks, but things went back the old being the elite way. Now, a lot of people were saying that the Bucks turned heel. It's not a complete heel turn, because what they really did is they had conflicts of interest about beating the shit out of Kenny Omega. Moxley's like, I don't give a crap. This guy almost blew me up. So you go, if you're going to do this, then do it. and he started pushing around the Bucks, and then he pushed too far. The Bucks were like, well, you know, Moxley, you're not really our friend. Kenny is our friend, and if you're going to start messing with us, it's going to be Kenny. It ain't going to be you. It's going to be Kenny. And it was Kenny. And they wound up super kicking Moxley and standing there, lost the match, let Moxley take the pin, beat up on him a little bit more. And we got the two sweets again. Because now Bullet Club for me, officially, after what I saw at the Hall of Fame, Bullet Club is the two sweet group now. Those other guys, that's the past. Bullet Club are the renegades of the wrestling world, and here on Dynamite there is a bit of a reunion, but again, I don't know if I'm going to call them Bullet Club of America. I don't know if Bullet Club of America is completely solid yet, but we'll see. One last note I want to talk to you guys about, and I just saw this before I started recording this video, that apparently somebody is trying to bring Lucha Underground back to TV, which is exciting. Yet at the same time, because you have AEW and all these other places now, I don't like half of Lucha Underground's staff and half of their talent is in AEW. So I don't know who they're going to have, but there's plenty of Lucha Libre stars and plenty of other indie stars that they could probably put on there. But you know, that's where I first saw Sunny Kiss, or Exalicious as he was there. I had seen Brian Cage before, but Brian Cage was there, Penta was there, Phoenix was there, so Luchasaurus was there way before he was popular. People made fun of him back then, but now he's like one of the most popular wrestlers in the business. So a lot of AEW came from not only New Japan, but a lot of AEW is tied up in the old Lucha Underground show, all 4 seasons. So if you haven't ever seen Lucha Underground, definitely go check it out wherever you can. It was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. Probably not, but if you can track it down anywhere, definitely go watch Lucha Underground. But I'm going to dig more into that over the weekend and see if there actually is any validity to Lucha Underground coming back. But that's it. This is a lot to do, and it's WrestleMania weekend, so I got all of WrestleMania to review. Boy, it's going to be a long weekend, but thank you guys for checking out this video. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and definitely share it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, wherever you talk about pro wrestling and sports entertainment. Of course, check down in the description box below. I got lots of free goodies for you guys down there, so definitely take advantage of that. And until next time, you guys be safe. I will see you later. Have a good day.